Watch a show called The Big Bang Theory. Okay, and it gives you a real good idea of the dysfunction of the people at Caltech and MIT. Right, sex robots, drones going over a top model's house, trying to gain access in it, find out all the right ways, perfect algorithms to make friends, perfect algorithms to get people to do everything you want, study people to learn how they react so you can get them to do exactly what you want. You make lots of money. People, instead of solving people's problems through living intelligently, compassionately, honestly, and educating people, instead of trying to dictate and legislate people, you give them drugs. Then you make jokes about the drugs causing rectal bleeding and cancer, and then you can turn it into suppository or a laxative. You know, all that funny stuff, right? It's not funny at all. It's insidious jokes about our dysfunction that should have died off in 2009, if not 9, 13, 17. No, there's no excuse. No excuse or explanation for everybody sitting there watching this every day, still laughing at it, going, why are we still laughing at this shit? You do know they're selling food on it constantly. They're selling products constantly. They're doing cameos on the show constantly for people that are endorsement people for products all the time. Cookies and cream, Capital One, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's all these people do. Okay, they don't give a shit about you and your children. They're like Ghasim Vyas and Inderman. They're like Ruben Ortiz. They're like Tani Chaparro. All they want you to do is read a Solomon Rushdie book, have somebody in your family drive out in front of an oil truck in West Texas so they can make millions of dollars off of your lawsuits. Okay? So it shows human beings' lives are completely not valuable to any of these people. They couldn't do math to save their grandchildren from genocide, to save their own lives. And so we have this stuff called artificial intelligence that's supposed to make our life so much better. And it's not worth a crap because it's invented by people that do use robots to tear up a Chevy Chevette that a poor family could use to pay their extortion, right? I remember watching that on the Dukes of Hazzard, sitting there thinking, they're tearing up, we were poor. And they would tear up all these cars. And it was like my brother-in-law's car. My brother-in-law was poor and had to get a job to pay for his car, right? These people on TV are not poor. They take cars and they tear up these cars. And I sit there and think, gosh, how many families could use these cars to go to work to pay their jobs? Because I knew families like the Cunninghams that mom had to walk and other people had to take the bus and they didn't have a car, so dad could come and get them easier from daycare or school or go from work to home faster, you know. And I would sit and watch things like this and go, God, that's horrible. All these cars they tear up on all these TV shows and movies. They could give them to poor families and they could use them for their dad to get back home in time instead of stay on the bus or, walk to work or, you know what I mean? Stay on the bus, forget about us. Put the blame on me if I don't see a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. Boom, 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 boom. So, you got these people, but we have artificial intelligence, right? But it's not worth a crap. It's as bad as the people that invented it. Like that asshole at the county building. I'm a rocket scientist and you're a liar. You full of shit. You're trying to tell me that there is nobody in the military that uses technology to sexually take advantage of people? That doesn't happen. Just getting Kim Kardashian to sell her sexuality for $1 million a video is taking advantage of people because how many girls in the world will get $1 million a porn video? Not many, right? But we can all live the Lord's Prayer. Like Muhammad taught everybody in Medina, and then it went to Mecca, and it ain't in Mecca no more, and it's not in Medina no more. I can't get used to something so right. When something goes wrong, I'm the first to admit it. I'm the first to admit it and the last one to know. When something goes right, it's likely to confuse me. To have to confuse me at such an unusual sight. I'm not Paul Simon trying to sell you music and get a Canadian artist with a bunch of genocidal murderers wearing a designer COVID mask. Okay, I am way better than the asshole you voted for president ever since I was born. Okay, and that's a fact. Okay. There hasn't been an asshole that sat in the White House since 1966 that was a peer to little Earl Parsons. None of them sat there and explained to Spencer J. Kimball, you're wrong to use Jesus as a pagan ritual sacrifice to pay for your disgusting. That's insane. Why do you teach that to children? Okay. I wasn't even 4 years old. And I was able to explain that to Spencer J. Kimball, who had our bishop be his mouthpiece at the Mormon church on Tell Shore. Went home and mom was like, I think Earl has a point. And Linda and dad are both like, and Linda and dad are still, no, Earl, you don't get it. It's like, I get it. It's sick. And you guys don't get it because you've been watching too much Rod Serling and shit like that on TV or reading too much Stephen King novels. Okay. You guys are creepy. I don't think they are. I think they've accepted creepy because there's no hope. Because the spirit of King David has been tortured, hunted down, murdered, his people mass murdered to try to get rid of the baby that would grow up to be the man since, Jesus' time and before, Moses' time, right? All the AIers and all the satellite people and all the rocket men and all the Manhattan Project people, okay? They're powerful, they're influential, they're important, they'll kill God. So you have to obey their satellites and buy everything from them, and they control everything, and they control the TV, and they control the horizontal, and they control the vertical, right? So they've been trying to hunt down and kill. But this time, they were going to do it even better. They were going to eliminate this mythology of this great guy altogether. Okay, because they studied Krishnamurti, they studied Sun Yat-sen, they studied, and everybody has a breaking point. And this guy, we're going to push him so far and so hard and be so manipulative. It's going to be so obvious that he's going to lose it and he's going to break. He's going to become P. Diddy. He's going to become Donnie Trump. He's going to become Barack Obama. He's going to, what was it, Law Atkins? I want you to be the Mitt Romney of New Mexico. I was like, get the fucking Mitt Romney. He's an asshole. I want to be Mitt Romney and stuff. We could do this and do that and stuff. I want to be sexually protected by a faithful woman, and I want to be able to provide sexual comfort and protection for a faithful woman. Okay. And as soon as she's of age and can protect me, but money's not real. Okay. And I'm not St. Jerome with the equivalent of $1 million in ancient times, with a family that sits there and says, hey, instead of Bonnie's parcel pill, I have her, lay down, have a kid with old St. Jerome here. The kid ends up with an accident, and then we all get the money. Oh, you like the book of Job. I get it. Okay, do you understand? Okay. So you can't see inheritance is something that's tribal, and inheritance has to be inherent good, inherently shared with loving eternal perfection. Okay. You can't have any kind of a legal system or a rules of engagement system for inheritance of necessities. Okay. Share, care, given, accordance, need, built to last. Wow, how Proverbs of you. There you go. Okay. As long as you maintain and sustain that, if someone starts to hoard, I need this, because you have to sit them down and say, you don't need all this stuff. You just need as much as you. Yeah, but with Joseph, but that's because Pharaoh was destroying the ecosystem, building large monuments to his egotistical insanity, and couldn't be talked out of that. All right. He could be talking to building large monuments with his face on it to store grain for a rainy day. Right. Like the guys in the Mormon church. Taking that perception, that interpretation, and turning it into a revelation by Joseph Smith. All right. You got to prepare. Yeah, you prepare for a Holocaust and an apocalypse, and you save up all this year's supply of all this food and all that stuff and everything like that. And everybody who didn't prepare gets a thing on an app and finds out where all the Mormons live, so they can get any stored up food that they need to kill each other. I didn't think that one through too well. Yeah, I thought that through when I was like about 7 or 8, when we had the Sam Andy shit and stuff like that. It's like, wow, all the poor Mexicans that are Catholics, if there is like a big old war thing like Red Dawn on TV, they're going to come and hunt down all us Mormons to try to steal all our food. I know that. We're going to be fighting like a John Wayne movie and shit in El Dorado, and I'm going to be Mississippi, I guess. Okay, do you know what I'm saying? So don't think like that. Share, care, give according to need, built to last. True, I wasn't born anywhere south of the border, but I'm not a native till Mexico. But there's someone there whose my heart was though to order, and it's fittingly proper through these eyes that love her. So if I could just write it off as mere fascination, then the problems we face would die where they are and not grow. But my meal's not contained by the thoughts little minds now are thinking. I'm on my way to old Mexico. I was born right here in the doorway between two make-believe nations that think God's a possessive pronoun and a first person that is the head of their war clan. Okay, and I'm a better person than the people that think they run the war clans. Okay, so while you do your pilgrimage tomorrow to a statue of Jesus, remember the spirit of Jesus lives here in this guest house in San Ysidro. And if you can't do that, well, you go back to selling food, holding it hostage, and promoting the businesses that rape little girls to death in Juarez and El Paso. Okay, guys, you know I love you. All right, peace out.